It's a lot of story, and the poetry are actually song lyrics to the states that Sister Lola passed through and stayed and grew up. So we have the Kansas state anthem. We have Washington State, and we have California. So that's the poetry part. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you can see some of these lovely photos, and I will start. So can you see my screen? Yes. Okay, so this is Sister Lola, and the name of the piece is I Would Not Exchange My Home Here. And this is Sister Lola on her birthday in February. Sister Lola 1. Sister Lola May is wearing gemstones, amber and turquoise. She works magic, stones, stirred pots sing music as ancestors settle in for the spin. We wrap history on spools between us. Her 75th birthday just a little over a month past, February 4th. This warrior woman holds in her person a people and a nation. And unlike many other women, she knows her power. We sit for a moment honoring the passage of time flowing in the circuitry between us. The blood of our ancestors who survived in us testify. Mother of 4 plus 2, Sydney, Lauren Elizabeth, Rashida, Abdul Jalil, Devin, Desiree, grandmother of Naima, Yasmin, Erilyn, Maizani, Devin, David, and great-grandmother of Jali. And here we have Sydney, Sister Lola right here. This is Jalil, this is Rashida, and this is her beloved brother Hanif. Daughter of Elizabeth Slaughter on mother's lap, and Alfonso Carroll, granddaughter of Letha and Cornelia Slaughter. This is Mama and Papa, grandmother and grandfather. Granddaughter of Lola Carroll, great-granddaughter of Ross and Delia Lyle. Her ancestors walk in her skin, step forward with feet wrapped in historic legacy, African and indigenous, European too. Coffeeville, Kansas is where her spirit stepped into flesh. A trading town, cows, bridges, train depot, cotton, Jim Crow, segregated elementary school, integrated high school. Papa, Lola's grandfather, though conceived in violence, was always known to be compassionate and caring. He founds the Good Samaritan Club for widowed women and children. He also built the church where in the evening, Mama and Miss Josie would be frying burgers, Sister Lola says. Papa and Mama fed the community during the Depression. Papa worked for the post office, a good job. We sort through the cast, Sister Lola and I. There are no understudies. Everyone plays herself or himself. The cameras are rolling. We use film, the expensive stuff. We cut no corners and only film in natural lighting, like Julie Dash's director of photography in Daughters of the Dust. This is where the tale ends. Both stories of exodus, movement of a people. Eventually, Mama and Papa moved to Los Angeles too. I just remember this story my grandmother told me when she first saw my grandfather. And this is a picture of her grandfather and grandmother when they got married. They were 16. And here's a picture of Mama and Papa on their 50th. I just remember this story my grandmother told me when she first saw my grandfather. She said she saw this new boy walking toward the church. And she said, she told her sister, I'm going to get that little old boy. And she did. They were married when they were about 16, and they were married for 65 years. Papa died in 1999, and in 2001, Mama joins him. They had 5 children. Lola Mae's mama is the eldest. They went through, a lot of things together, but they really meant a lot and still do to the family and to a lot of people in that community. They were very instrumental in growing and nurturing and being there for folks. Coffeyville, Kansas is the town where I was born in and grew up, like on the Kansas-Oklahoma border, she says. Right there. Aunt Nimmy, let me move down a little bit so you can see a little better. Okay, so there's Coffeyville, and these are Sister Lola's great-grandparents. So listen to this. Aunt Nimmy, Papa's mother's aunt, lived next door to Uncle Percy and Aunt Pat and their family. He was my grandmother, Mama's brother. Aunt Velma and Mr. Hunt, Mama's eldest sister, lived across the street from them, and back of us across the alley. Ross and Delia Lyle, Mama's parents, my great-grandparents, pictured below, lived across the street from us. They were the ones everyone was coming to see all the time. Just respect. Sit on the front porch, in the front yard, talking, visiting. We lived right in the middle of the thoroughfare. There was like traffic back and forth, family all day long going to see Grandma and Grandpa. And I tell you what, no matter how many times they went through, you better say hi. This is Sister Lola's big sister, Patricia, and this is her daddy, and that's her mother. And here's Sister Lola. Guess who she is? This is Sister Lola right here, and that's her big sister, Patricia, and that's her brother, a little bit older than her, Alfonso. Lola is the third child with an older sister and brother, Patricia and Alfonso Jr., and a younger sister, Rosalind. She says she was the spokesperson for the siblings. She was elected to represent the kids. We wonder what they did before she arrived. Her dad, Alfonso Sr., is a World War II veteran who worked on the Grand Coulee Dam in Washington State. So cool. It was a huge project, unprecedented to date. That's where her consciousness is born. She finds her many years later waiting. What belongs to us is never lost, Abby sings. Lola Mae knows this truth inside. Ah, the magic she sees when distracted and when still feigning sleep. Charity, clarity when it comes is wonderful. Her father builds something grand, even as he unraveled. Her mom got away and saved herself and her children. She, girl child, is able to reconcile with her father. Lola says he wept. The tangle unraveled between them as forgiveness grew. He was angry and bitter, and the children were just there, like the bed they hid under. Lola Mae says that after she left Coffeyville to visit an auntie, when she went back home, she met her new family. Mom had moved on. That's Mom, Mother dear. Life's like that. The land here is strange. Lola always felt. She looks up, how often at night, when the heavens are bright, with the light of glittering stars, and stood amazed and asked as she gazed if their glory exceeds this of ours. 2. Her tuning fork points west, and at 17, Lola Mae hops on a Greyhound bus to Los Angeles, where she stayed with one of her sheroes, Aunt Shirley, and babysat young cousins while finishing high school. In 1966, LA was audacious, Black, and proud. Grandmother Letha would take the bus back and forth across the country to help her divorced daughter, a nurse. So Lola Mae always knew out there was another world bigger than the cows, dust, and racist crackers at home. Sister Lola, a prodigal daughter, felt her heritage here in LA. All around her, Black people were standing up and shutting down oppressive systems. In her late teens then, life was exciting. Lola took courses at the community college, went on dates, got married, and became a mother. The young mother continued to conjure and stir her pots, following the magic in her heart. Spirit spoke to her often. Spirit spoke to her often, and she listened well. Trading in cosmic marketplaces for better lives for herself and for her daughter, Sydney, she left her marriage. She had gotten this agreement with a soulmate, an appointment with him, arranged by ancestors, heavenly beings before she arrived. She kept looking, asking for directions. The first marriage ended in tragedy. She lost baby Lauren at 9 months. No more, the young mother decided, no more. I will stay home with my children, and she did. Tragedy is life lessons one survives. LA was not to be her permanent landing place, just a spot to refuel, change the cruise sail off. She kept keys in her back pocket. California, I love you, the greatest state of all. I love your winter, summer, spring, and fall. I love your fertile valleys, your dear mountains I adore. I love your grand old ocean, and I love your rugged shore. I love you, land of sunshine. Half your beauties are untold. I love you in youth, and I love you now that I'm old. Queen Califia grinned as she waved at Lola Mae. She'll be back, she whispered. I know, child. I know, she sighed as her girl Lola sailed away. 3. Washington State was where Lola Mae fine-tuned her wombfulness. Conceived in Washington, yet born in Coffeyville, Lola Mae felt at home here. No one could run her away, and the subtle microaggressions multiplied did not stifle her children or her family's growth. MB Hanif, her soulmate, broadened his creative palette to include film and music as the two parents of a blended family started organizations and hosted plays and other cultural events at their children's schools. These Black people were not going anywhere. They claimed agency, sovereignty, and place. They taught their children they belonged because they did. Their mother's song was their song too, a song of freedom, safety, belonging. This is my country. God gave it to me. I will protect it, ever keep it free. Small towns and cities rest here in the sun, filled with laughter. Thy will be done. There's peace you feel and understand in this, our own beloved land. We greet the day with head held high, and forward ever is our cry. We'll happily ever be, as a people always free. For you and me, a destiny, America, my home. Yes, yes, this land was made for you and me. Lola Mae skipped cut glass along the banks of a dam her father built. It was a girl. It was a girl. Name her after me, her grandmother Lola Carroll told her mom. And so it is. Damn. And so it be, I write. Okay, let's see.
Damn, I think I just later.
After 8 years, Sister Lola says it was time to move again to from Bellevue, Washington, back to the City of Angels briefly. Then Oakland called. 4. Oakland was a place Sister Lola always felt an affinity. Let me show you another picture. Here we go. We're not here yet, but Oakland was a place Sister Lola always felt an affinity. Kids visiting kin during Coffeyville summers spoke of a chocolate city, Oaktown. And then there she was in 1994. Black power, her magic carpet, and Oakland certainly had a lot of that. Her daughter Sydney called her mother here, and as she left for Malawi, Sydney that is, then academic pursuits at San Francisco State University called Sister Lola's name. There, she got an undergraduate degree in Africana Studies and Health. Jalil, her son, was in high school. Why not parlay her experience into an academic package, she thought. Sister Lola only took classes that interest her, and so her feet led her after graduation to the University of Creation Spirituality, where she got her master's degree. She worked as a consultant, social worker, and mediator. Called often to facilitate groups with alcoholic women, Sister Lola ended up founding Sacred Space Spiritual Support Group. She convened this healing space for 14 years, hosting wellness talks with special guests, hosting field trips and workshops. Now, Sister Lola is writing. Her first book, What Mama Used to Say, that you see here in the picture, Handbook of Old Sayings, just came out last year, and it's in its second printing. She's writing a memoir about her cosmic agreement with her husband, M.B. Hanif. Sister Lola says throughout her life, this saying has guided her flight and cushioned her landings. A heap see what a mighty few know. And that's on page 33 in her book when you get it. A heap see what a mighty few know. 5. Though she sailed along the Nile Valley and visited the pyramids, America is her home. Her great-grandfather got to Oklahoma too late to claim his land, they say. The Trail of Tears story narrated by James Earl Jones speaks her family's story too. She watched her great-grandfather fuss at reports on the TV. Lies, lies, he'd say. Cherokee on the slaughter side, Choctaw on the Carroll side. This is her home now. Colonel James A. Coffey, 1827 to 1879, who was with John Brown and James H. Lane, quote, in the capture of Washington Creek Fort and the engagement of Lecompton, end quote, to keep Kansas a free state, opened a trading post on rich Indian land. Chief Black Dog with his Osage people lived here first. 300 pounds, blind in his left eye, at 7 feet, he towered over the white man. By the time the iron bridge was built, 3 railroads plowed through the town. Factories went up. Industries like brick masonry were developed. The original people seemed to have vanished, but they were still there in Sister Lola's neighborhood. They lived in the blood. 6. Every day is a reawakening, Sister Lola says. I remember a lot of stories, yet you make your own path. A heap see what a mighty few know. So many people judge what they don't know. What you know will carry you through. What if I listened to that girlfriend who told me not to marry a musician, especially a saxophone player? We talked for hours. Hanif could see me. When I'd walk him to the door, we both touched the doorknob. Sparks would fly between us. Magnetic. When I looked at him, I saw a long, dark tunnel with light. We weren't a traditional couple. However, our agreement was I stayed home with our children and he could play his music. We've been married almost 50 years. I like him too. Everyone don't get it. Everyone can't come. Everyone has a different purpose. A heap see what a mighty few know. It's a calling, trials and tribulations. It's better to bend than break, Mama would say. Step back and let the train go by. There's always another one coming. That's on page 41. And what Mama used to say when you get the book. Sister Lola hasn't missed any cues or curtain calls from 17 to now. For more information, I want to make sure you can see this so you can jot it down. For more information, contact her agent at 1-800-I-SIRIUS, Sirius as in the dog star, SIRIUS. Thank you so much.
Yes, that was so beautiful. Lots of hearts, lots of comments in the chat. And Sister Lola, I understand you have to leave a little bit early, so I don't know if you want to come on camera if you're able to and answer questions first, but we'll open up questions for everybody at this time. If we have any questions from the audience.
stars.
Awesome.
Well, I just flipped to the section right before relationships, and it says, no matter where you go, there you are. Every day is another day to get it right. I like those two. Running after that man is like running after a bus or train. And this was already, there's another one coming. That was the one I shared in the story. Love as though your heart has never been broken. That's pretty.
That is a good one.
You can face whatever is facing you.
And we do have a couple of questions in the chat. We'll pause right there to take a question. One in the Q&A is, was there a specific neighborhood in LA that fit Sister Lola?
Oh, yeah. Sister Lola, you need to answer that. You're muted.
Let's see if I can unmute her.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hey.
Greetings, everyone. This is so thrilling for me. Specific neighborhood. It's the Pico, Fairfax area around there in LA. Long story short, that's where Hanif and I connected, and the sparks would fly and this type of thing. I lived on Packard and feel like that, but we always kind of lived in that general neighborhood. So yeah, it was like an old Jewish neighborhood, and the kids could play around outside on big wheels and all that. But then I saw this it was like a big wave was coming. That's the best way I can describe it. And I knew I had to do something to get the kids out of LA so that they could grow and be who they wanted to be, because things were changing. That's when Richard Pryor almost burned himself up, a whole bunch of stuff like that. So it was just a gut thing. And I didn't know anything about Washington State, about having lived there and been conceived there or anything. It just came to me, to my gut, So that was a whole process too. That'll come out in the next book.
And is the book available on Amazon? I see a question about if we want to put a link to where people can.
Yeah, it's available at Marcus Books, Amazon, and Barnes and Nobles.
Okay, awesome. And let me see, there's a few more questions in the chat. Can you talk about the publishing process? The Cherokee slaughter is so much like the environmental pollution today in Black neighborhoods. Ooh.
Well, the publishing process, I had taken it. It was just in my gut that I had to do something. This was a few years ago. I feel like I came through a 5-year pregnancy because I got this deep feeling in my gut. I had to say something there was so much going on at the time in our communities. And I was talking to Sister Jerry Lange, and I just mentioned to her offhanded, I'm thinking about writing a book. And she said, about what? So I told her, and she was like, what? I'm going to write you a foreword. And I'm like, okay, because everybody's always said, we're going to write a book. But I wasn't just saying that. I meant it, but that meant I really had to do this. So that's kind of how it really got started. And when I came through the process, some of the women at Sacred Space Spiritual Support Group, we met a couple of times and sat around a conference table and laughed and talked and came up with all different kinds of old sayings from back home and here and there. And then after I put it all together through this 5-year process, I came to the point, I'm like, wait a minute. We always talk about what old people say or what used to be said, but what are the young people saying now? So then that's when really connected with my grandchildren and some other young people, and they put in their input. And our daughter Sydney has written 4 books herself. So I said, what am I doing? Let me contact her. So that's how I realized I came to the point where I knew how to actually have closure with the book, and she connected us with Lulu.com. And that's how you can independently publish your book. They give you step-by-step information and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you got to lean into it.
That is wonderful. You got to lean into it.
Yes, that's my favorite saying now. I hear it when young people say that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. That's powerful.
Adrian, I wanted Sister Lola to answer the question before she leaves. How do you leave a harmful situation?
How do you leave a horrible situation?
Harmful situation.
Harmful.
Yeah.
Follow your gut and your prayers. You know, you connect with the higher being. You don't. You just know you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to trust it. You know. I mean, if it stays there, well, Mama used to say it's better to bend than to break. So, you know, you just get on up out of there, unless you're just going to succumb to it. And you don't want to do that. Leave is what Lady Sunrise says.
Yes, so important. I think, and when you're in a harmful situation, can you speak to just the type of community support you need? And because it's like a communal, what I hear a common thread in the migration stories, it takes some type of communal act or somebody to help you do that leaving.
Oh yeah, well, you know what? It takes a commitment, and it takes love. It's like one hand grasping the other. Like my aunt, you know, she had needs, and actually I grew up next door to her because she's my mother's baby sister. And so when she, you know, grew up and got married and moved away to California because her other sister lived in California already, it was kind of like a chain reaction. So I knew one day I was going to California, and I also knew I had this tremendous draw for the water. I had to be near the water. It was just powerful. So yeah, you just do it. Believe in it. Do it. Because if you don't, what you gonna do?
I love that. Thank you, Miss Lola, for that wise advice. Let's hear from Miss Akia and Miss Dira. Any other advice you want to piggyback on and sharing the stories of making that brave leap to move, even if it may not be a harmful situation, but just like a dream to be in a better place?